Like Lusoga has never sounded so magical. Like in that song, like you feel it.
That is so cool.
All my Basoga friends are just like, yes, our man.
Finally, we have it. No, it's really cool. Yeah, because also maybe for the sake of inspiring also those who are like songwriters, and you're thinking, the thought occurred to me, and I've been trying it in the last couple of years. As a musician, we have lots of songs in English, lots in Uganda, and even Swahili. But like, I realized like we speak the average Ugandan will probably speak at least 2 or 3 languages or dialects. So my thing has been like, why aren't we writing music? Even if we mix it up, why aren't we writing in our own languages? And that's exploring language. And that's what I've been trying, and it was so cool to get that kind of feedback, like, yo, someone is like, my song is in my language, and then you think it's just the Basoga who are going to be excited, and then you find someone from like an Itesot from northern Uganda who's like, that's my song, like a Langi or someone from the west, or like, I think it's amazing how contagious that has been. But
I'm from a beautiful place, the Pearl of Africa, hailing with a 256. It's in my blood, that's a gem where the mountains rise, with stories untold, the tapestry of cultures unfolding, so vibrant and bold, a symphony of stars, a celestial light, the drums beating, echoing through the night, just like a beacon of light, a reflection that's coming up from the Nile. I'm flowing straight into the heart of Africa with timeless stories untold. What's up, Doug?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Welcome to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show podcast. We're dedicated to bring you stories of our guests, like your favorite people, celebrities, regular people, anybody that is willing to come and share their story with us today. But today, it's not a new guest. He has been on the podcast. In 2 years back, we had Mr. Chimera. So, Mr. Chimera, welcome back to my podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
When I was saying the word podcast, I was trying to like go slow. So I wasn't going to say my podcast because I know we just talked about that. So if you go back, if you listen to my podcast, so I was trying to be intentional with that. How have you been, man? How have you been?
I've been good. The Ugandan Boy podcast. With yours truly, Barney. That is so cool. No, I've been good. Yes, and it's been 2 years since I think the last episode was episode 70 something. And now you're at episode 200 and something. That's amazing, man. Well done.
How has life been between that gap? I know we've been talking like on social media and stuff, but like we've not sat down to have a full-on conversation. Yeah. And after that episode we recorded, for the listeners who are tuning in today, he talked a lot of stuff. Some of them we might recap them, and some of them we might not. But if you want, the episode is up there on YouTube at episode 72 with Chimera. Go check it out. Yeah, the production back then was good in that time. So yeah, you enjoy it. You enjoy the audio.
It was as good as it needed to be.
Exactly. It was as good as it needed to be in that moment. So, but yeah. How
in that time it was like just coming out of COVID, and now 2 years later, amazing.
So in that space of 2 years since I last spoke to you, there's a lot of things that have happened, and I went back to look at some of the things you have achieved, some of the things you've done. So before we start today's podcast, and most of you who are tuning in today to listen to Chimera, you might be here and expecting us, like waiting to just hear about the song Omuwala and all the funny stories you want to hear from that. We're going to talk about that. So just stick around. I like to just go back a little bit and dive into the stories. So if you're here to just hear the stories of Omuwala, you're going to get all that. But for now, let's just do a little recap of how those 2 years have been without you being on the podcast. I noticed in those 2 years, you won the Artist of the Year 2023, the Vine Awards. How was that experience?
Yeah.
You've been talking about my awards that I won, and you're here, I'm talking for an award winner.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's crazy. It's really nice. Like for any creative, it's nice to be recognized for something you've done. And it was exciting. It was really exciting. That was last year, Vine Awards. Great category, great individuals in all categories, and yeah, it was a really fun moment. And of course, glory be to God. Yeah, it was really cool. But I see, I've also been watching like so much recognition for the podcast, like all these awards. And then, of course, you came by in Uganda. I missed the live show. So, Aish, you've been up to quite a bit of work.
Yeah, I've been working. But also in that space, you did something, Worship with Subi. I think it was in the Samia, where you had a band and you guys were in the room and worshiping. That was pretty cool. I really loved it. How was that experience of that?
No, that was amazing. So I try to, for any project that we're working on, I'm trying to, as a Christian, as a person of faith, I'm always like, okay, so what am I sensing? What do we need to be doing? Instead of just chasing the next thing. And that time I had a strong feeling around doing a live worship project, but something that's not, sometimes as Christians, and I'm a worship leader at church, at my church, I go to a total church. Sometimes we're in spaces where we need to, keep the time. It's like 3 minutes song, move to the next one. But this particular one, we just wanted to create a space where it's just friends in a room, just worshiping together. We love Jesus. And in fact, even in the conversations we had with the guys, like, we're just going to press record. Of course, we'll practice the songs and so on, but on the day, they're just going to be what they need to be. So if we feel like we need to go back into something, let's do that. So you end up, actually, this morning I was listening in my prayer time, I played it's one of the songs, it's called Dwell. And all of them are on YouTube and stuff. And it was just, the whole point of that project was to make music that just facilitates devotional worship. So maybe not necessarily even Sunday morning worship for church, but music where someone is in their quiet time, their prayer time, maybe they're in a certain moment and they just need music they can play for, like it's a 30-minute song and it's okay. And it was amazing. So all of us who were in the room, even after the project came out, all of us, even now we watch or we listen to the music and we're like, yo, that was like such a moment. It's like you almost can't redo that moment. It was just organic and it was really, really heartfelt for all of us. So that was exciting. That was last year, beginning of last year.
There's a way we're worshiping in a small room with a group of people. There's a way like you feel that bonding. You feel like you are like, I mean, it's all good when we're in the church and everybody's singing and you're in front of the stage singing to like 1,000 people. But like when you're in a group with like 10 people, 15 people and just singing.
It's very
intimate.
Like,
intimate is the word. Yeah. Still, you start. I don't think when we record, and you correct me on this. I don't know if when we recorded you had Chimera and Amari band at the time. Did it just start?
You know what? I've been singing at weddings for the longest time, and the band and I, so Chima and Amari band, we've been together for the last actually 10 years because we started doing weddings together. In that same year, I got married, and it's been 10 years. So I've not been like fronting it as much. We've been doing lots of weddings, but it wasn't as forward as, because we're still doing weddings back and forth. But yeah. So it's just until recently I was like, yeah, you know what, let's just put some footage, because people like, you have a band, can I see what you do? And like the marketing goes, you're like, okay, so we can't keep forwarding videos to people. So just, get production a bit together, get a good camera, get some footage together, put it on Instagram. So people at least can go there. And if the people who have seen you like you, they can share and that, creates momentum of its own. So, but it's been like 10 years, man. It's amazing.
And I really appreciate the work you've done with the promoting it and putting it out on Instagram, and because that's something you actually you're telling me behind the scenes about the podcast, like these things you're putting it out, changing it, and like here I was thinking, like when I had you on the podcast, Jack, you didn't have this band, but it was there. It was just like we were not saying it, but like now everybody sees it, and it's funny because when I posted the poster of coming soon, on my Instagram, people were messaging me, I love this guy. Oh my, somebody sent me a clip of you singing at a wedding on WhatsApp. It's like, oh, I love this guy. I was at this wedding where he sang, and it was pretty cool. And just seeing you in that element, and I was creating the description of that poster that I posted on Instagram, and it says a talented person. Like, you do a lot of things, and later on I'm going to ask you how you do. Thanks, you're able to do all that stuff, but like still on that wedding. You know what? When I was preparing for this conversation, have you seen Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler? It's a movie. The Wedding Singer.
Is that where they keep like just crashing into weddings? Like
no.
I don't know if
No,
I
this
may
this
be
one they would
missing.
hire him
Is
to
that the
come and
one?
sing. I had a song stuck in my head. The one that he would sing at weddings. But yeah, The Wedding Singer is a funny movie with Adam
Yeah.
Sandler. It's so I thought about that when he would just get gigs like to go sing at weddings. So yeah, I'll put it in here for people who want to see it, or even if you want to see it. But still, your performances at the weddings,
Yeah.
it's gotten big. I've been seeing the work you're doing on Instagram, and there's a few songs that you sing like covers. I listened to the one you did, a cover of Namagembe, Oliwa, and
Yeah.
Maddox,
Maddox.
and then-
You're like that song. That song doesn't get old. Any wedding, like you have to sing that wedding. Like there's some songs where like, you know what, let's do it, and guys are like, ooh, yeah, it's classic.
you did a Eli Wamala song too.
Oh, that Viola.
Yeah, the
I think
viola.
that's another
Because I think on
classic,
Instagram
Viola.
you said who can guess
Oh,
the
yeah.
song because it was like kind of a quiz thing. I like that
Yeah,
song,
yeah.
Viola. Wango to say, Indira Ibula. Yeah, but I think Just Steady
To say,
did.
yeah.
I think Just Steady redid that song. But yeah, it's been fun, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other one was the funniest was I want it that way.
Yeah. For the yeah, that's another highlight, especially because you find that because people get married in waves, and then you find like right now there's people who love it has a whole throwback element of like Backstreet Boys, people who are like in school when we're listening to that music or growing up, and when you start singing, like, oh my god, I remember that song, and then they remember all the words, and everyone is so happy, and it gives such a good wedding
I think your
vibe.
caption was like, "It's funny how many people like know that song, or when you sing it at a wedding, you just hear the whole crowd singing back." Yeah,
Tell me why, hey, nothing but about it. Tell me why.
and actually, that just raised another question that I want to ask you about. Since you're a worship leader and you sing instead, you performed on concerts. My favorite part. I'm not a singer, but
Yeah.
my favorite part is just being in the crowd, listening to the crowd singing your song, and just the whole room, like the whole stadium is just singing your song. What is that feeling for you? Like, do you feel the same way like when you're performing?
I don't know, man, that feeling, because first of all, you're like, okay, people don't have to like your song. There's I mean, as creatives we can be very confident, but like people don't have to like your stuff, so that they like it is humbling enough. Now, for songs that they even learn the songs, like, yo, like, how did these guys learn this song? But then I learned along the way, there's something powerful, and it's something I'm always striving to do, so that the greatest, perhaps, success is when it's no longer my song, and
People's
it's
song, yeah.
someone's song. You know, like, someone is like, that's my song. It's like, I that was the song we played at our first dance, and all of a sudden, the honor of like my song becoming the soundtrack to someone's life, or a scene in someone's, if you think of their life as a movie, like when they got married, your song comes in, because and when your song plays, they remember how much they love their wife, or how much they were, or when they got their first child, or when they, and all this different, or maybe they're going through a trying time. So then if you're on stage and then you sing the song and everyone in the room is singing with you, it's such a uniting moment, and it's extremely humbling. Sometimes you just step back and you're like, yo, what in the world? Yeah, it's extremely
One of the
humbling.
songs we highlighted in the earlier episode was Nzeu Wo, and I'm just going to talk about it a little bit because we talked a lot about it in that episode. If you want to know, he was telling us a story of Wow. But it's funny,
Yeah.
like when people request that song for you to go to sing, and like the story behind it, you sang that song for your wife, which you later on did at your wedding. But now people are also like requesting it, and I can see where somebody can connect to that song.
Yeah. Against like that whole, that's my song, and like when they see Gwewange, that's my song, or maybe they hear it on radio, that's my song. It's like, wow, it's an opportunity. As a musician, I can say, and I think I speak for most, or if not all musicians, it's extremely humbling, and I guess it reminds you that what you have is a gift, and that gift has to be shared, and we have to do this.
No, I like it when you put it like that, because not all musicians have that mentality in their music, and it has gotten worse. I don't like to
Yeah.
separate like secular music with Christian music, but I mean it's different. But you at the same on the same day you're all musicians, but you can see different aspects of people with different kinds of music in the style of music. There's some people who like for their music they use their music to just lift themselves up to see how great they are. But then there are other people who use their music to like I had Elijah Chitaka here on the podcast. He said music adiowa myoyo, like tuyimbira abantu, like to heal people. And I like when he puts it like that. I don't like when people use music. Even Ep206 say the same thing. Like some people are into music to make money, to get fame. But some of us are in music to like help somebody go through something. And that's why I listen to music.
It's interesting. I was listening to, there's a comedian, there's a Black American comedian, it's called Michael Jr., I think. He put it this way, when he learned a big lesson, was like, as a comedian, most comedians are trying to get laughter out of people. Like you're trying to make people laugh, right? And then he discovered that the other perspective is, I don't know how he put it, but if I may paraphrase, I'm trying to create a moment that we can share. As, I've paraphrased it. He said it way better. But it's that like, instead of coming, I want you, like for instance, for music, I want you to sing my song so that I become popular, so that my song becomes a hit, so that I can make more money, so that I can do more gigs, so that the mindset, if you do music out of that, it also affects how you write it, how you produce it. It's just, as a Christian, I think I could use the phrase, the well becomes, poisoned, so to speak. Like it's no longer fresh water. It's like, but when someone does it from a genuine heart, and that's something I'm always aspiring to do, it comes through, and I hope that it translates to the person who needs to hear it in that moment. Like what you said, what Ep206 and Elijah as well.
I really love that. Yeah. Anyway, in the same year, you hosted the Afri Art Fashion in 2023. So you're not just, like that's what I was saying, multi-talented. Like you're not just a guy who is just going to sing at concerts and stuff. You have all these other side stuff, and throughout this conversation, we'll be hinting on this and this and that. But you hosted the African Art Fashion. How is that like changing your element from like being the musician guy to just like I'm hosting this event?
That was different because when the organizers reached out to me and said, hey, we would like you to host this cultural fashion show, I was like, what? It was like, okay, I'm not sure. I'm like, because I've never hosted a fashion show before. I mean, I've hosted a few different things, but a fashion show, I'm like, I don't know. But I said yes. And then I called on some professional MC friends of mine, like, I need tips. How do you do this? But really, like I find, and I guess we will get into the conversation about purpose and the different expressions. Even in that, I find, even as an MC, even as a host, I'm really doing the same thing that we've just been talking about with the music. I'm trying to create a space that we can share and have a moment, whether we're laughing, whether we're learning something, whether we're being inspired. So you can do that. The same skill set, you can do it with music if you have that. You can do it with just having a mic and just engaging in conversation, or like what we're doing now, as long as we're just genuine and people kind of resonate with that. It was a beautiful thing. And except that now the dynamics are a bit different because you have people, you have fashion, you have models, you have the designers, you have all these different elements that are a bit technical. But in the end, it was such a joyful experience. And I'm like, yeah. In fact, actually, I would have we'll be doing, I think next month, they're having because they do it annually. And they reached out, they're like, hey, you know what? Last time was great. Can you host again? And of course I said, yeah. So that's really amazing as well.
Yeah, it's awesome to see you do all this different stuff. And through that hosting events, I also found out you're wedding MC, and you've done MC. You not only sing at weddings, you also MC weddings too. Do you have, and closing that chapter of like MCing at weddings and stuff, do you have like a favorite moment at a wedding? Either you were MC or singing, like something that stuck out to you. It could be anything. It could be a bad thing, a good thing, a funny moment, just anything.
No, the one that comes to mind, if you give me more time, I'll come up with 10. So let me go with the first one that comes to mind. We did, I co-emceed a wedding with a guy called Ben Mwine, amazing guy. In fact, that's a guy you usually ask that question, who do you want me to have on this podcast? I would say Ben Mwine. He's like,
Okay.
yeah, I'll give you a link or something. Anyway, so on this particular one, he's a guy who has a bit of a story like yours, Bonnie. He traveled to the States, doctor. He always had these big dreams of like, he was hustling through campus, but he always had these big dreams of like, one day I'll go and become an international doctor. I'll do this. And it was hard. And he moved to the States. He was hustling through. And when he came back for his wedding, so he's now like settled, he's getting married to this girl he's been having a long distance relationship with. He loves her to bits. She's been there. And the guy was just crying. And he seems like a guy with a tough exterior. Like, you know what, me, I tell you if I think about it. And then he gets to his speech and he's like, I'm just and I was like, this guy was the one who was bossing us around the whole day. Guys, cameras need to be on point. And then it just comes to this moment. I was like, I just remember when she was there for me. I was in my room and I didn't even have a mattress and I'm like, oh, that is so sweet. And of course, being the MC at the time, I decided to tease him about it and everyone was laughing. He's like, this guy pretends to be hard, but he's mushy inside. Yeah. But just seeing and again, it's even as an MC, as a wedding singer, I love weddings for that, because you're getting to be in the room at a really critical moment. This is the beginning of someone's life. And whether I'm emceeing or singing at weddings, I like to bring in the element of the couple's story. Like, let's bring that to life, because this is a moment of their story. It's like a key part of their movie. And it's just amazing that we get to be a part of that. And then you leave the rest, they carry on their lives, but just, it's an honor to be a part of that moment, whether MC or whatever. So that's a big moment. And we did so well. The next day, and this has never happened before, so it was a shock. The next day, the guy was like, you did such a great job. And they decided to send with his wife on the way to honeymoon, and they decided to send me extra money. I was like, yeah. This is it. I need all my clients gotta be like these people.
No, that is really cool. I was talking to a friend the other day, like, you see, we're all strong and all that, but like, there's a way love makes you like, soft, lowers you down, calms you down. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. But anyway, that's pretty. That's a funny story. It's pretty cool, like seeing guys cry on the weddings. But I don't judge them or anything. It's just an emotion. It's just like a cool experience, and it's just you're in that moment.
No, me, I judge them. Judge them. I'd be like, Gwe. You've been hustling us the whole day. Now you're being mushy, just as a way of teasing them. So yeah.
But yeah, then you dropped us Awama Money in the period of time. It was a hit song there. I'm not going to focus a lot on that song, but I just want you to tell me, what made you come up with that song? Is there is there somebody who took your money that didn't pay you?
No, short story. Yo, Bonnie, you're always asking me for stories. I don't have short stories, man. Anyway, so that we were jamming. It was like sound check for a wedding we're doing, actually, that time. This is like 2 years back. So we're still, I guess, catching up with the story. But we were jamming, doing sound check and for some reason, that's the thought that like, we just went into our mamani. Just somehow we were just jamming with the band, Amari band. And then one of the guys, it's called Peter, one of the other guys who sings and he plays acoustic. He had just come from Nigeria and I had picked up a phrase from him where he says like, brother, I know see you say, bro, what's the reason it been too long? So he had some phrases that he had picked up from Nigeria. And that's how it was just a fun moment. And everyone was just laughing because everyone gets it. Like if you're in Uganda, like everyone is trying to borrow from you and not return your money, or you're trying to beg for your own money. Man, please pay me, everyone gets it. And I think that was the appeal of that song. As soon as someone hears it, they're like, man, there's a guy, I need to send this song.
Yeah. Give me my money.
Yeah. My money.
But yeah, when you were talking about it, like I wasn't even at that setting, but I could see where like you guys are just setting up or like setting up for a wedding and the guitarist just plays a tune and then something just comes up in your head and say, I want no. Yeah, and then you just go like, and then a song comes up. Yeah. And then you just get a vibe. But anyway, October 20th, 2023, towards the end of the year, you decided to drop another song Omuwala. I've got time to. Did you release it on October 20th? Because that's the date I saw on Instagram. But I don't know if that's.
So it's funny. Most people may not actually know that, but so I released a couple of songs towards the end of last year, and just like every month I was releasing one, and that was one of them. So that was October, November. I released a different one, but not as many people listened to it until this year when we did like a video and we released it around Valentine's. And then all of a sudden, guys like, yo, there's this new song. And it was like, it's not new, but okay, let's go with that. Yeah, so that's the backstory.
Yeah, when you posted it actually on October 20th, 2023, and yeah, we're going to talk about how viral it's gone and all that, but like people, you said people had already seen it on YouTube and some other streaming platforms, even when you release it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a new song. But from listening to all the songs you've done before, like even on the old episode we've done, like the Puzzle album, Echoes with Morris Cheer, all the songs, this one was different. Yeah. It is a different...
It's okay.
One of my guests, Angel, the episode you're watching of Angel KIMERA, she was talking about fame and how she's not famous and she doesn't want to be famous. She wants people to know her craft before they know her. So like, and I feel like in this moment, people know Omuwala as a song, and like you could say, who sang Omuwala? Asimani, but this song is a banger. Like your song, like it's a great song, and people are appreciating you. So how? I know you've shared a little stories on this song, like there were clips on your Instagram on questions on how you started it, but how did you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to drop Omuwala?
Bonnie, you're the worst. You just keep asking me for short stories and I don't have short stories. But okay, I'm going to try. So in terms of the seed of the idea, okay, so I like to listen to tracks. So there's different ways for those who are musicians or for those who are interested to know. A song can start with the words or it can start with the beat, like it can go either way. Every now and then I'm on YouTube, I'm listening to just instrumentals, like depending on the vibe, I'm just driving, listening. You don't know what sticks. And this time around there was a certain beat that was like, oh, that's nice, that's dope, okay. And if it's really great, you can go ahead and find the producer and figure out something with them, right? Wherever they are. So this particular, and other times you go to a studio and you do the thing from scratch. Anyway, this particular time I'm listening, and for some reason I just like, this beat is like this Niger vibe, and I'm in that zone, I'm writing a bit of that kind of vibe. I'm like, okay, let's try that. And yeah, the thing that it reminded me of a story when we were in secondary school. A friend of mine told me a story. These guys, I was in Jinja College, so for those who like care to know, this is eastern part of Uganda. So cultural, for context, cultural competitions, different groups are supposed to come together and, find a cultural song to sing or create one or whatever. These boys, junior college is a single-sex school. So the boys who are in a group, they have no idea what to sing. They don't know the language, which is Lusoga. They have nothing, but they decide to create something. They come up with, sincerely speaking, sincerely speaking, which is like, you don't do that in traditional cultural. They were disqualified. I think they were sent away, or like probably given a warning or something like that. But when my friend told me that story, I found it so funny. And this is like way back when we used to just laugh about that story. But when I heard this beat, for some reason, it just had that humor about it. And that's the thing that came to mind. And then the rest of the song was created around that. So the verses, the what, and the intention of it was just like to be like a story of a guy who is telling you about this babe who he's like, man, these like guys don't normally talk like this, but they only talk like that to other guys. So like on the phone, that's when you're like, Bonnie, man, this babe is like, she's fire. She's the one. I have to marry this girl. She's like, but we don't talk when we are with girls. We're like, yeah, we just like. Yeah. But when you call your guy, you're like, yo, this guy is, and I wanted to make a song like that. Interestingly, in the times that we're in, it's even more relevant than I'd even maybe initially intended, because now there's all this different conversation about, like, you don't hear much of like a guy who's just wants to really talk about this girl and in a non-sexual way. So that was the appeal of it, but humorous, big vibe, banger type. I didn't realize it was going to be this popular, but I'm glad because then it's like, I guess the energy comes across and,
It's funny you share that story of how you came to that song. But that made me ask you a few questions when I was singing, when I listened to that song. It's like, I never asked you, are you a Musoga? When Muna?
So when Muna, so my mom was a Musoga, and I was actually raised by a Musoga. Because I grew.
Okay.
That's the story I tell. I think so we talk a bit about that in the other in the other session that we did.
Yeah.
But yes, so my mom is Musoga and come from that side. So I speak the language.
It's funny, when I was finishing my primary 7, I was gonna go to Kila College Butiki. That's where they were taking me. Yeah, I was gonna go there. So
then what happened?
No, my dad said I can't take you that far away from home, so I stayed within within the area.
Fair
but
enough.
I was excited. I was excited to go learn some Lusoga. I like to tell people, Mzeni Muna, Tina and Songa, and you go ahead to mention Rosemary in that song. Who's Rosemary? Where does she come from?
So in the local language, that whole thing of mixing elos and alas. So I needed in writing it lyrically. I like to use humor in my songs. So you'll hear that in maybe Awama Mani and even with this one and a few other songs. And I wanted to get a song where we break the word, to get the cultural feel. So for those who are not familiar with this, so instead of someone saying Rosemary, in the local speak, they'll say Rosemary. And I was like, let's take that name because there's not many names that you can mess up nicely, and that's what we did. So, but metaphorically, speaking, Rosemary could be anyone. And it's the whole point of so you say my Rosemary is like my wife. My Rosemary is and everyone who is watching and loving it and thinking of a particular person, that would be your Rosemary. And the other thing that we did with the video is that, and I got quite a bit of slack for it, the whole video is about Omuwala, but we never see the girl. My guy, what's up with that? I'm like, that was us being clever. But it worked. It worked, yeah.
Where did you shoot the video at?
There's a restaurant in Kisementi. We shot it there, and then there's a Marish place, which is the clothing store. Yeah. Then on the street, we found a cool guy who does shoes. It was really within Kamocha, central Kampala region, really. It's just back and forth on a Saturday, yeah. It was nice. When
you release that song, I mean, when musicians do the song, they just say, okay, I'm producing the song for different reasons, for this is what I expect, did you expect this song to blow up the way it did? And like you said, you released it at the end of last year, but then at the beginning of this year and still today, it went viral on TikTok. People have posted clips, remix, did one, different versions. Did you see that coming?
No. And I think it's also another thing that's humbling about what we do as musicians. You don't get to decide which of your songs people pick on and run with. Some other guys said, think of songs as your children. And some children are introverts. They stay home, they stay in the sitting room, they kind of watch TV with you. Then other kids are extroverts. They're high-fiving everyone in the village and coming back, telling stories. And we don't get to choose how that works. Yeah. So no, directly answering, no, I did not. What I expected and what we wanted to see was that it's a fun song. So it's something someone listens to and immediately smiles and is like, yo, this is so cool. And conversation starts about something important or something meaningful. But the way it took off, especially on TikTok, I mean, someone picks it up and then the particular guy is called Prince, I forget his name, Prince. He's in Ginger. Shout out to him. I've forgotten the other name, but it's called Prince. He picked it up and then shared it on his profile. And what it just so happened that he's the plug for the Busoga side, and all the Busoga people are plugged into his media thing. He's always doing stuff. And then all of a sudden I had no idea. So when I check, I'm like, yo, oh wow, okay. What's happening here? And then of course, then a challenge begins and so on. But much like what you said before, even now, like, it's not the first thing you think of is not me, it's the song. And I love that because it's people connect with it and it does something for them. And then maybe later they'll find out, oh, this is the person. Or maybe like, oh, you look familiar, that kind of thing, which is really cool.
No, that's really good. I like that. And that song, when I had it too, I was like, yeah, that's a good song. And like bringing out the culture, like uplifting the culture. Like a lot of people are doing songs in Uganda. And like you said, I think you said it or somebody else said it, like Lusoga has never sounded so magical. Like in that song, like you feel it.
That is so cool.
All my Basoga friends are just like, yes, our man.
Finally, we have a job. No, it's really cool. Yeah, because also maybe for the sake of inspiring also those who are like songwriters and you're thinking, the thought occurred to me, and I've been trying it in the last couple of years. As a musician, we have lots of songs in English, lots in Luganda, and even Swahili. But like, I realized like we speak, the average Ugandan will probably speak at least 2 or 3 languages or dialects. So my thing has been like, why aren't we writing music? Even if we mix it up, why aren't we writing in our own languages? And that's exploring language. And that's what I've been trying. And it was so cool to get that kind of feedback. Like, yo, someone is like, my song is in my language. And then you think it's just the Basoga who are going to be excited. And then you find someone from like an Itesot from northern Uganda who is like, that's my song, like Alangio, or someone from the West. Or like, I think it's amazing how contagious that has been. But it's been a beautiful experimentation process. And I think there's a lot more there that I think people can latch on to, because our language is expressive of who we are and our identity, and I think we can explore it more creatively. No,
it's a very beautiful song. Like even when I have a daughter and I post my daughter all the time, every day. And like there's a few pictures there that it's the background song in there. So Omuwala. So like I use it. I'll send you one of the clips on WhatsApp. But like I use my daughter's pictures because I connect with it and then just look at her as Omuwala. You know, it's fun. It's a really beautiful song. People have done like remixes and stuff. And you also did one. Was that Amapiano? Like you sang it in Amapiano kind of bit.
Yeah. Again, it's just the spur of the moment, trying to be creative. Like, I was like, I'm always trying this thing of like, how do you do the same song in a different vibe? So what would it sound like? This was like in dance hall. What would it sound like? Just acoustic. And I had this like Amapiano kind of thing in my head. So I decided to try it. And it's like, yeah. Of course, many people posted like, no, I prefer the original. And I'm like, yes, it's okay. We're just trying to do stuff. Like sometimes you don't need to overthink things. Just try something. It's not to compare, and I'm not trying to outwork the other one. It's just another offering on the plate. Yeah. It's not like you're deleting the original. The original is there. And this is there. So for the people who like this, Amapiano. For people who like the original, there. And there's also another guy who did in a dance hall version. Like I saw that somewhere. There was a DJ. Yes, DJ. Oh man, I forget his name. Now I'm going to remember his name. But yeah, he did it in like a dance hall mix, and I was like, whoa, that is crazy. Anyway, yeah. It is pretty cool when people do that. I like it. Even like people who share like podcasts, like stuff we talk about, somebody is listening to it and something sticks out to them. So they're like, oh, I'm going to take this clip out, post on my social media. I like that. As long as if you remember to give credit to where you got that from, it means a lot to the person who created that. Like if you get Chimera's song and use it, make sure you give credit to Chimera for his song. I see what you did there. Actually, that's a literal like a thing. Like it's okay to share the content, but acknowledge the person who did it.
because it's beneficial for
like,
them.
like even now I'm trying to find I've forgotten a DJ. I've forgotten his Oh yeah, so the DJ Dranix. Yeah, DJ Dranix is the one who did a shout out to DJ Dranix. He did that spin of like into a dance hall vibe. And the guy who made the video pretty much like pushed it to being viral on TikTok is called Prince Henry. Yeah, so I just wanted to give them credit for that. Thank you.
That's pretty dope.
Can I tell you one thing you may not know about Omuwala? So Omuwala, I'm a Christian, and when we think of the ideal girl, like he who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from God, when we think of the ideal girl, the best description in the Bible is Proverbs chapter 31. So in writing the verses, I was actually really picking elements of that chapter and putting them in the verse. So those who've read now that I've mentioned, if you go back and read, you'll be like, oh, okay, I see it. Because then it's like, Bwatandika businessy, profit multiplies, and Proverbs 31 describes a woman who is she's entrepreneur. She's out here. She's doing the work. She's out here doing trade. She's selling. She's buying. She's what, and all these things. Wafumba kuvidandali. She takes care of the home. She does all this, and then she gives peace to her man. So when I say hustle, she said blessings on the way. I say pressure. She said, come we fast and pray. So all that. And I put that in the verses. So for those who are interested to go back and like, oh, I didn't know that. But again, it doesn't take away from the chorus and all. And I like to do layers so that on the 5th time you listen to the song, you'll be like, oh, I didn't hear that. Okay, cool. Yeah.
That is pretty cool. And I'm glad. These are the things that I like about podcasts. Like you'll never have had this somewhere else, but he gets to drop in here. Yeah. Like he comes in. That's pretty cool. So yeah, you mentioned earlier this year you did the video for it, and it was pretty cool. The other part, like I really enjoyed. I watched a clip of your performance at the Fat Fest 23, performing that song, and the background vocalists were putting some extra spices to it. That was like that was a whole vibe. It was pretty good.
Yes.
That song is a vibe. That song is really, really a vibe.
Thanks, man.
And then you have a caption that you wrote somewhere on your Instagram that says, music should not be heard. It should be felt. Like, I felt that. Like, I felt like that was really deep. What does that mean when you say that to you?
I think it should connect with the heart. Because sometimes if you're only hearing, it's like sometimes the technical stuff is, does it sound dope? Does it sound like this? Does it sound? But what is it speaking to you? How does it help you in a moment? I will reference a different song now that we did also on the Hearts and Minds EP or album really. It's a song called I Don't Know. And that was from a very personal place of like pretty much like mental health. You're going through a valley in life and it's like dark and depressing. Like, how do you go through that? And the song is I Don't Know. And when we performed that and recorded it, right now it's like the links on my socials and so on, and on YouTube it's there. The intention of that is like someone needs to feel like if I'm trying to paint a picture of someone going through a tough time, I need you to feel it. Otherwise, I'm speaking to your head, but not your heart. If it's a joyful time, it's like a good vibe. I need you to feel the happiness so much so that you want to join in and dance or laugh or high five someone or share it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we do music and that's why we do art. And if it doesn't connect at that level, then sometimes we failed. And that's something I'm constantly trying to push on, even if sometimes it just means really simple. It's too clever in production. Let's cut down all the layers of production. Let's keep it simple. One voice, one instrument. If that's what it takes to connect with the heart, let's do that. Yeah.
I like that a lot. And even if I'm not a musician, there's something I learned from what you just said, because when I do this podcast, I'm not just doing it for fun. I do it and I want to connect with it, so that way my listeners also are going to connect with it. And when I'm having these conversations, I put myself in my listeners' shoes. I'm like, what is something they'll benefit from hearing from Chimera? And like I'm not just putting it out there. I just think about that. I want it to bless somebody out there. I'm just not going to say, and like usually, and this is a problem in our country, and which we need to learn all together. When people are trying to interview other people, they're just trying to find things that are going to go viral. And who is he
yeah.
dating? Who is he
I'm trying
doing
to
this?
use your
Who is he?
story, like,
Yeah, or like to get
Yeah.
what do they call it? Like clickbait for stuff, and they just want to get that. But there's a lot of questions you can ask somebody that he can answer,
Yeah.
and then somebody else benefits from that. But when you ask somebody, hey, this person is dating who, like, it might not impact another person's life in any way. Like, we need to be
Yeah.
better when we get opportunities to. So that's what I think about when I get these people to come on the podcast. Like, there's a lot of wisdom Chimera can say here, other than me just asking him about like where he was last night, or like what, like stuff like that.
I hear you. And I think you're doing an amazing job, even with also how you like carry out your podcast, and how you, like, I was listening to Angel's one of the more recent KIMERA, and like, we may not realize, or what we have to realize, is that there's a whole generation of young ladies who are watching Angel and how she sings, or how she uses her craft, how she writes. And they're like, you're giving them role models, like, putting the role model to the front. Like, this girl is like, I've seen this girl do this. I want to do that. I think I can do that. I want to try that. When they listen to you interviewing Ep206, and he's telling his stories and how he's using his music, regardless of what you think of him, there's lots of great stuff that he's doing, and he's inspiring a whole group, a whole demographic, and you have to honor that in a sense, like, and with all and I know that that's something that you aim at with all the shows, and even how you carry it. So I want to say thank you for the work you're doing. Yeah,
thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm going to end with this on music, but there's also another section I want to touch on a little bit as we wrap up the whole thing. I don't want to keep you here for so long, because I know you have other business to do, but also give my listeners your time. And you told me I'm here, so let's do it. At first, you released it as a song, Lelo, with 3 other amazing guys. Wake, who has been on this podcast, it was amazing to talk to Wake. He's a brilliant guy, and just even talking to Angel from that episode, Angel was talking about how their connection in poetry and stuff. You have Afri, and then Sandra Subi. I think Sandra Subi was she was the one that you guys did the worship together too, like worship with Subi.
She was in the group,
But now you made a whole EP, which is coming out on the 12th of this month.
Yes.
Hopefully this episode will be out, and then you guys will listen to it. So, but tell us a little bit about the experience on joining with those guys. And I saw a clip you just posted today on your Instagram about, I'm passing the phone to this guy. How is it like connecting with other musician creative and come up with a whole EP?
No, it's been such a blessing, and none of us has done this sort of thing before. Normally when we collaborate as musicians, it's usually like a song and that's it. But it was so beautiful to collaborate on a whole project, and it kind of happened organically. We are all Christians or gospel artists, but also just connecting in terms of like friendship, meaningful connection. So we're not trying to get into a studio to get a beat and be like, what do you think? Just sing something. I mean, that can give you some results, but we wanted it to be meaningful. So all the songs that you'll hear, or those are hearing them already, depending on when you listen to this, are like from conversations. So like much like this conversation. So there's all these sharing life experiences, taking time to pray together, recognizing each of our different like strengths and highlighting that. Also musically, the fun process of like Wake is crazy with that rap and poetry side. And then he's also in production. Then Sandra has a unique approach towards her creativity and her music and her artistry. Afri brings a certain soul to not just her music, but her personality. So putting that together, and I really especially like the fact that for me, I'm big on unity things. So whether the church coming together or artists coming together, I think I always want to jump onto any opportunity that says, let's do this together. Like we're not competing. There's a possibility of us coming together, genuinely coming together, not just for the one thing, but for something really more meaningful. And we just felt God was doing something in all our lives. And it was a great organic experience to just come together, do some songs. And imagine, so the other thing I'll let you know, so there's the EP, but we also sat down and did like conversations like this. So the four of us just talking about some of these conversations we had and just doing an open, just put the mic on, let's record, put the camera on, let's share this, because it's not just about music. Like you said, it's about inspiring those that listen to us, sharing with them, inviting them into who we are and allowing that to resonate with them, and sharing some maybe mistakes, some notes, some inspiration, wherever that goes, but allowing it to be more than just a song. But even then with the song, it gotta be dope. And I think this EP is really cool. So there's like 7 pieces on there, and I can't wait for people to listen to the music. So from rap to soul type things to like Uganda to this. It was a fun project. Yeah, I hope people really enjoy it the way we did.
That's amazing. And one of the things you mentioned that sticks out to me, I keep reminding my listeners and everybody, is collaboration over competition. And you see, when you have that in your mind, is you look at it, you say that you guys coming together, but in what you're doing, you are bringing people together too. Like Wake's fans, your fans, Sandra's fans are all going to come together and listen to this one song. And then you're uniting people outside, even you guys uniting yourselves. So like, that's how a lot of people like are going to do that. And we can't wait. I can't wait.
And also giving people, sometimes, this is my thought, sometimes we just need something to look at. Like, it seems impossible until you see someone or some people who have done it. So if we talk about collaboration, maybe people don't collaborate, but well, you see the group of 4 artists who are different, but they've collaborated. So now it's possible. Why you can't say it's not possible? We can. These people have done it, so maybe they've shown us it's possible. It's not as complicated as we think, so let's do it. And I hope that it sparks off a lot more collaboration. Break down the walls of competition. Let's build the kingdom together. Let's serve people. Let's meet people where they are. Let's use our crafts to do something more meaningful.
I appreciate you for the work you've done in music and how you have brought your music, how you've used your music to impact life. But not only do you impact people's lives in music, you've impacted people's lives in coaching them, life coaching through life. And that's something I've not talked about throughout this conversation, but it was planned, like it was intentional, because I wanted to wrap up with that, because with all that we have said, like we're going to wrap up with the 3 P's that you like to say: people, purpose, and progress. Like
progress,
that gets me. And I always say, okay, I want to dedicate a whole episode to just that. But then when you come here, I have a lot of things like to just like break down through, and I want to give them through. But I never want to miss that. Like, you're big onto purpose, like people. Like, you talk about people, like you're learning consultant, a facilitator, moderator, event host, coach, about people, about life. And I like how you bring that out, like you're healing people's lives with music, but you're also healing people's life with the purpose and their progress, helping them through their challenges and finding solutions. And you have that in your description on LinkedIn, like, which can benefit the community. At the end of the day, all what we're doing is making benefits to our communities, to make our communities get better. Walk us through the life coaching part of your life and how you have used that to help other people.
Okay. So my career, so outside of music, so it's always interesting when people find me in different spaces. They're like, wait, are you going to sing? And they're like, no, I'm going to be training you. I'm running the workshops. And like, wait, what? That's what? And they're like, life coaching, wait, what? You know, it can be quite interesting. And I always like the look on people's faces, like, okay. But where the life coaching comes in is after doing like my quickly professionally, I did IT, my first degree, then further down the road did a master's degree, business admin, and then further down the road figured this people thing, I'm really keen on adding value to people. So that led me into learning and development, where you're helping people to pick up on skills and competences that they may not have so they can move to the next level. But further down the road, I discovered this thing called coaching, and it's the amazing. After having a conversation with a, so to speak, mentor of mine, I was like, I want to change culture. And he asked me, what is culture? And they said, okay, so culture is like, okay, whatever we agree on, whatever people agree on, like, okay, then he asked me, okay, so in what context are we agreeing on anything? And then after thinking hard, I was like, okay, when we talk to each other, when it's conversation. And then the aha moment came in terms of conversation. If you want to change the world, if you want to change culture, conversation is a great place to start, because that's when we decide together. And then now coaching is based on the very art of conversation, the ability to help people connect dots or help them discover their own greatness, not to give them solutions, but to help them listen to themselves and discover the greatness within. So because if they see themselves different, if they connect the dots within themselves, then they can make better choices and again make progress. So that's me helping people to connect with their purpose so they can make the progress, essentially so they can make the contributions they want to make. And so I did my certification to like advanced level. So you do have to go to like school for this kind of, it's not just wing it and say, I'm a coach, let's start. Some people do that, but I kind of, I'm like, take time, you don't just come and fix a plane. You have to go to school like Barney and study how that works. And because these are people's lives, it's sensitive. So learn how to, it's a science, it's an art, know how to navigate conversation and help people connect those dots. And it's been amazing. So right now I focus on life coaching and career coaching, and it's been amazing.
Yeah. So just one of the things I'm going to talk, those 3 P's, the purpose, just a little bit. Because when we were talking, you touched on it, and then we said later on I'll talk about the purpose. But one question I had to ask you is, I'm going to ask you the question for that. So when you're talking about the purpose, is that where their why comes in? Like, is that the area in somebody's life where, what's your why? Because your why is your purpose in your life. Like for me, why are you doing this podcast? And your why is going to drive you to do that. Elaborate more about that, if that's the same mindset like I have on purpose, somebody's purpose.
Yeah, completely. There's a great book called Start With Why by a guy called Simon Sinek. Amazing. And he introduces the whole concept of whatever you do, start with why, and why meaning your purpose. But then the follow-up book they did is called Find Your Why, which I loved even more because they get into how do I apply this from just something in a cloud and meaning, but something like, what can I do about this? How do I discover my why? So if you're interested in that, it's called Find Your Why. Same author, Simon Sinek and his team. And it's this idea of everything we do, if I take my life as an example, realizing the things that are meaningful to me are people. I want to contribute to people. I want to help them connect with their purpose so they make their greatest contributions. Progress. And it's not perfection, it's progress. So you'll find if your why is clear, and right now my why is clearer, a lot clearer, and I believe gives me purpose. And it's the same expression through everything that I do. Whether I'm a musician, I'm doing the same thing. Whether I am writing, whether I'm training in a workshop, whether I'm doing like a life coaching session, even here on a podcast, everything that I do, whether I'm on or off camera, on stage or backstage or in the crowd, that's the thing I'm trying to do with my life. And that gives meaning and purpose. So that's the expression. And there's tiny ways that you can find your why. It shouldn't be that complicated. What kind of contribution do you want to make? And that there's lots of like tiny exercises that can help you. Even on YouTube, if you want to just start with like Google, Find Your Why exercises, Simon Sinek, you can find that. But I'd really recommend that book. But just to be more direct, yes, it's your purpose is your why. And it's the thing that gives you meaning. Why do you do what you do? Okay. Now, when you do figure out the why, it's almost clearer what you do and how you do it kind of naturally follow. Then you discover, I have these gifts, I have these expressions, I can use it. And then you're finding other ways of doing that. I'm extremely passionate about it, so I can keep going. But really, that's what I wanted to say.
No, I wanted to I just touch on that. At least some people can benefit from that. Actually, all the listeners, you're going to have to pay for that session because it wasn't free. So we're going to have him send his number so you can
some
send
mobile money account details.
Whoever listened to that session that wasn't free is supposed to be paid. Yeah. So just send your mobile money to his phone number. But no, KIMERA, it's always I told you this last time when we recorded. Like, you're some person I can sit down with and talk for the whole day because there's a lot of things to talk about, a lot of conversations. I always appreciate when you give me your time to come and sit here and have this conversation with my listeners. After 2 years, hopefully we're not going to take another 2 years for another one.
2026.
Back 2026.
Episode 500.
What's a life lesson you've learned in life to this point?
Ooh, there's many, my guy. There's many. The one that comes to mind immediately is travel light. Travel light. You don't need to carry unnecessary baggage. So light in the terms of weight, but also light in terms of light, like light, like, the lights. Travel light. My favorite scripture is Matthew chapter 5 verse 16 that says, "Let your light so shine before all men that they may see your good works."
Matthew 5:16.
Your Father in heaven. Okay. Yes. So that's in there. There's that lesson. Yeah.
The other question is, what gets you excited about life?
The possibility of creating an impact. In one word, it's resonance. It's that when you do something that connects with the other person in a way that could never have happened. I love that. I love the possibility, whether through music or through coaching, podcast conversation, something. It's like, this is amazing. It's a major gift and opportunity to create possibility of resonance. That's inspiring for me.
The final question, and I think you mentioned it while we're recording. Who would you like to see on this podcast next as a guest? And you're gonna connect me to the person.
Have you had Sandra Subio? I know you had Wake. Have you had Sandra Subio on the podcast? I don't know it.
No, I've not had her on the podcast. No.
What? So I have 3 people for you, my guy. 3 people. Okay. So Sandra Subi for sure. Afri is the other lady. She's doing amazing work, not just with her music, but she's into film. And she did this short movie on how the Karamojong women go out to look for water and how water is such a critical part of their day. So Afri, that's a whole interesting side of what she does. Sandra, for the fact that she's not just musical, but she does expressive art and she's passionate about climate change and pollution and saving Mother Earth and all these amazing things. Ben Muine, because he does so many different things in the corporate world, but he's also just such a fun guy to engage with. So I'm definitely happy to plug you to those 3.
That'll be amazing. Yeah, send them my way, or we can reach out to them and send them an invite to be on the podcast. Once again, Mr. Chimera, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate. Any final word you want to say to the listeners?
Thanks for watching the Ugandan Boy Talk Show, hosted by yours truly, Barney. Parting shots would be Matthew chapter 5 verse 16. That's something I aspire to. Let your light so shine before all men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. The work you do reflects on your Father. So do it well.
Hey there, my name is Bonnie Chibuka, the podcast host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching and listening to my podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Also, leave a feedback on this podcast, so that's how we grow. Thank you very much and be blessed.